Hey guys, so this is part 3 of the preseason power rankings, the second section. We are going to start off with team number 21? 21, Calgary Mustangs.
That's right.
Part of my trio of my sort of my little pet project power rankings, guys. Matt, welcome back to another year of SICHL. You know what I should have done? I should have figured out how many years all the GMs have been in the league.
That would have been nice.
I should have been. So this is your 11th?
No, I've been around
12th?
Somewhere around there.
No wonder you're so good. So Matt's at 12. I think I'm at 11 or 10 and a half because I took over a team, I think, halfway through the season. I'm not sure. And then Eric,
this is my 8th?
8th or something like that?
7th or 8th, something like that.
Yeah. Who's the longest GM right now? It's got to be...
Well, there's some replays, Mike.
Yeah.
I think...
Guy and Norm?
No. Guy and Norm are both... Norm might be original. Guy is certainly not.
Okay.
8th year. Just figured it out.
8th year?
Yeah. Bursa is in the mix of the long-term serving ones.
Don? Did we say Don already?
Don's been around longer.
Don the Huskies.
That's right.
Derek has been around.
Derek's been around for a while.
Than I have.
Martin is still running. I think he just got bored of winning all the time, so he just stopped. But Martin's been around for a long time. He's still like a member. I think he still checks the league.
Yeah.
Did Martin never win a championship?
No.
Never did?
No.
Won buckets and buckets of regular season.
His roster. You know how good his roster was? They split his roster into 5 teams, and those 5 teams were good.
Yeah.
5.
So the Mustangs.
5.
So the Mustangs. That's right.
Let's gallop into prognosis, analysis, statistical.
Note one. Right. Note one. Ray Whitney is still playing hockey.
What's his ratings?
As a 40-year-old in our league,
wow,
he is a very, very solid forward.
Yeah, he is. Look at that, 85 passing. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look at that. So he's got a good mix of young and old, actually. He's got a lot of young forwards.
Yep.
Really good.
Silverberg, Shaw.
Yeah.
Good young players there.
Good stuff. Oh, he's got George Peros. I like George Peros.
He's got that Grigorenko kid. He could be good.
He actually doesn't have a bad starting for defense. How's his goaltending?
Goaltending's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's not bad. Oh, the Bulin wall. Wait a minute. He's got Ben Bishop and Brian Boucher.
Oh man.
It's gotta be some clever way I can.
The alliteration is outstanding.
Yeah, it is.
What are his prospects like?
The alliteration is awesome.
Yeah.
I think Calgary. I think this is, to be honest, a pretty appropriate rating for Calgary. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the goaltending is there, which is obviously a big piece. Durability is going to be a problem. Having Bulin is only a 57 durability, so I mean, you're going to see a lot of Ben Bishop. Ben Bishop's not a bad SICHL goalie at 73. I mean, certainly serviceable as a backup. So I think they're going to be okay. And I mean, Ray Whitney's going to put up like 97 assists or something like that this season.
Yeah, probably. I think this could be one of those teams that plays a little better than probably the sum of their parts.
You never know, right? I mean,
Giordano and Wisniewski, those are guys that could put up a surprising number of points on the back end. And likewise, that top line, if it stays healthy, I mean, there's some durability issues like Matt already mentioned with Hornqvist and Whitney.
Right.
But if they can stay healthy, they can do pretty well.
He's got high discipline too, actually, amongst his forwards, which is pretty good.
Something to look for in this league.
Eric and Matt are right though about the numbers don't always tell the whole story. So Matt Hackett last year for me. This was actually one of my downfalls for losing to the Express. I know it sounds weird. He was ranked 66, and he played like a 76 goalie.
He played like a 96 goalie.
It made honestly, I don't know if you guys can check stats last year. Made no sense.
This year.
Yeah,
just made no sense why Matt Hackett was so good, and he was a 66. So sometimes the sim is funny about things like, I remember there was a thread a while ago about chemistry, and how I think the majority of agreement was, I remember from it was probably Mark and Martin, saying that there's no chemistry factor built into the sim. But it's weird because sometimes some players just will work better together, and there's no way to figure that out, which is kind of fun because you can experiment, and some teams take it by surprise.
You find a stats balance or a stats overload. I find.
Yeah. That's what chemistry, I guess, is. Yeah. But sometimes you put a player with, high passing you think would be good with high scoring, but for whatever reason it doesn't always work out. It's weird. Sometimes you put 2 scores together and you're like, well, how did that work? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I don't think Calgary is going to light the world on fire, but we should point out, we were talking about this earlier, Matt's done a really good job considering that he inherited a team with very few, if any, first round picks.
Zero.
A decade.
Yep, he took over a team that had lost all of their first-round picks through 5 years, I believe it was.
That's really, really tough to do.
Whatever he had access to, they were all gone.
I inherited a team.
The most patient in the entire league, I would say.
Yeah, that's hard to do. At least with the teams that are low, like Denver or Montreal or whatever, they have, like you mentioned, Denver has a ton of first-round picks. There's a lot of optimism. It's really hard to inherit a team like sort of the Maple Leafs were after they stopped doing so well, where you're full of old players and no draft picks. It's like, okay, well, what do? You have to be patient. So, Matt, good job. Done a really good job. Well done.
And he's done quite well with those first since he got it back. Yeah. Picking up Grigorenko.
Is that right?
Yep.
Darnell Nurse.
Darnell Nurse, big fan.
He had the third overall pick.
He did.
Look at that.
Yep. Did really well with that little, seemed like a reach at a time for Andrew Shaw, 34th overall. Very smart.
You're already playing in the SICHL? Yeah, that's a good move.
Yep.
It's fun to go back and look at your franchise draft history. In my year, I didn't actually do this draft. I inherited the team in 2003, but I didn't do the drafting. My guy took Phaneuf 8th, Paul Bissonnette 46th, and Shea Weber was like 75th.
Wow.
It's funny looking at drafts work sometimes. All right, well, should we move on from Calgary?
I guess so.
Okay.
That's going to be to the Vancouver Vipers.
Bryce's team.
Yeah.
Hello, Bryce. That's a great name. Now, I wouldn't say it's a hockey name, but that's got to be like a baseball name or something. Bryce Crittenden.
Cricket?
That's mean. You don't want to be associated with cricket. I promise me. I promise you.
I didn't mean anything mean by it.
I promise you. Trust me.
Henry turned that into an insult.
Not me.
That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, right. What do you think of the Vancouver Vipers, guys? They hung around last year.
They did.
Yep.
Surprising team.
What do you think about the Vipers, Matt?
Last year's big time dark horse.
Mm-hmm.
I continue to have some concerns with SICHL headquarters about my franchise's territory.
Infringement. You're in enemy territory.
I'm just concerned. The Vancouver Island Norsemen established our home base in Victoria some years before the Vipers arrived. And now they've come into the league and been trying to siphon some of our fan base. It's very upsetting. The league hasn't taken any action on it.
How snake-like of them.
Ooh, that was good. Anyhow, all kidding aside, I think Bryce's team. I mean, like any good team, they have on the rise. They have some pieces which are really going to help them out. I mean, Taylor Hall is going to be a monster.
Taylor Hall has a 96 passing.
He does indeed.
He has 296 passing.
Really weird.
He has Mikey Ribs.
Anybody seen Taylor Hall play?
Mikey Ribs is a 96 passing, so he's
in real life. Taylor Hall doesn't have a pass rating.
No.
That's amazing. So that's okay. So they got some. Oh, they got Marcel Gatch.
Just picked him up.
You did?
No, he did.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
okay. Oh, free agency.
Upset me because I wanted him.
which made me sad. They
were both upset with
Kurt. You could have got more than a third for that. Just saying.
Don't get me started on the Stem Coast.
They've got Nabokov and Nat, who's going to win them some games this season.
Oh, 81 goalie. Hang on.
Solid backup there.
Yeah, not bad.
The one worry I do have about the team is defensively, their D-men
little
porous.
Little thin, yeah.
Little thin, little soft.
Oh, wait a minute. I know why I don't like you, Bryce. I didn't pay attention in free agency, and I was planning on taking Barrett Jackman back, and you wisely signed him. 3.2, that's a good rating. Barrett Jackman has been an 80-plus DF player every year. It's totally solid. That's a really good price. Good price for Bryce? A good price?
Right. Damn it! I gotta get one.
You're down in the rankings.
I'm sorry.
You're down.
Aww.
You're down 28th.
You're mean.
Barrett Jackman is awesome. There's some defensemen that you know are going to be rated high every year, sometimes for no reason at all. Barrett Jackman is one of them. He's on a really good team, St. Louis. He's going to have good ratings. He's going to get you a lot of penalty minutes. But yeah, besides that, his defensive lineup is a little thin.
There's some long-term help coming there. I mean, they have Jamie Alexiak in their system, who's a guy who I really, really coveted in his draft year. Didn't find a way to make it work. I think he's still going to end up panning out a lot for him.
Valerie Nichushkin.
That helps. He also has Griffin Reinhardt kicking around in the farm.
He had a good draft year.
So, that kid's going to be not bad at hockey as well. So some of the challenges the team has right now, I think they're going to fill in pretty quickly with some pretty high-end talent. And so maybe not this season, but assuming they're able to keep the general composition, I think...
Two qualms about Vancouver, if I may
do it.
Hop on my soapbox here.
Yep.
One, he won't trade me Chris Russell.
I'm surprised you haven't got him yet.
How long have I been trying?
You've been trying for a long time, yeah.
In case it isn't already really obvious, I'm a huge Medicine Hat Tigers homer.
It's true.
I was born in the Hat, still have family there, watched Chris Russell play, best junior hockey player I ever saw, and now he's finally good.
Oh, he's got decent ratings.
On my team, so that's upsetting.
He's got decent ratings. That is upsetting.
Second,
super cheap.
you have Mike Santorelli. Now, Matt knows the story here. Santorelli's cousin, whose first name is Linden, as a tribute to Trevor Linden by very hockey-obsessed parents.
Really?
His cousin works for me. He's one of my employees. So I hear nonstop when Santorelli does well, especially when it's against the Avalanche, like his 2-goal, 1-assist night. He buried my ass. We thought he had a hat trick, but
and so we were the ones who
we were the idiots, and
we were sort of drunk.
18,000 other people knew what was going on.
So for a little bit of context for everybody, Santorelli scores his second goal of the game, and Eric and I are attacking the Canuck fan base for not throwing their hats on the ice. And we'll discover that in fact was only his second goal.
I was so ashamed. Thank God I was with somebody else at that point, not yelling at strangers.
So yeah, that was our Sunday.
That was pretty funny.
It was a good Sunday.
Yeah, I mean Vancouver is in a overall it's just like in the NHL this year where the West is so much stronger than the East. It looks like, again, the Canadian Conference will be much stronger. So, again, world teams, if you're ranked a little low, just wait, because you're going to be playing overall weaker competition. So the Vipers, with an 81 goalie, you never really know. They could end up surprising a lot of people. And, again, I should reiterate, these rankings are done based on the rosters as preseason began. And we all know that trades or injuries or waiver pickups can completely change the makeup of a team. So please keep that in mind that we might be a little bit behind the rankings. And of course, you'll see the change of the teams throughout the year as I update the power rankings every week or so.
And most importantly for Eric and I, we had nothing to do with the ratings.
Zero.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's not it.
We are just talking heads.
This is funny. We'll get to us later, but we're actually ranked right next to each other. We're right in the middle, a little bit above. So Matt's 12, I think Eric's 13, and I'm 14.
Spoil it.
Oh, I did spoil it. Oh, shoot. That's okay. They'll find out eventually.
Go back and edit.
No. It's not spoil it because the videos are going to be on the page. So, they're going to see the rankings.
Okay. I think now you're just justifying yourself.
I am not. I think that's fine.
I'm upset.
I think yeah.
So, are you upset? I would be.
I am still upset about the SICHL territory issue. However, we should move on.
Okay.
Because otherwise I'm going to start throwing things.
Yeah. Okay. New York Empire.
Wait, is that worse than the Vikings? I don't think it is.
Well...
What if there's a team called the Vancouver Vikings? Let's change your name. Change your name to the Vikings. Change your name to the Vancouver Red-Bearded Vikings.
We have some new people in the league who wouldn't know. Chasm used to have a team in the SICHL.
That's true.
Called the Oslo Vikings.
Yeah,
and there was a similar kind of stink made by the good PR folks at the Vancouver Island Norsemen about similarities, shall we say, between team names.
Yeah.
Vikings.
Infringement.
Norsemen are Vikings.
At least the colors are totally
similar.
Carrying on.
Okay, it's a sore spot.
Let's move on to number 19. Okay. I feel terrible saying this. So the New York Empire is GM'd by... Oh, Gary, of course.
Come on, man.
Gary, your team last year made no sense. And I think I pointed this out in many of the power rankings. Mm-hmm. New York had... First of all, their starting goalie was good. Right? They had Luongo last year. They had a really, really good lineup. And they ended up, I think... the second worst team in the conference or something like that. And it made, just like Brandon, every week I'd be like, I'm looking at the rankings, this makes no sense. And I know they're trying different things, trying different line combinations, whatever. Sometimes the sim just breaks you. I don't know if some of you remember, but there was one year where the sim actually did, let's try this again. The sim either broke me or I broke the sim. But basically the sim gave my team so many injuries that it crashed the league because I couldn't bring players onto my roster because I had too many injured.
Yeah.
But I couldn't send them down because they were injured.
I couldn't even load the file, right?
Yeah, we had to. I think I did break the sim. So sometimes the sim makes no sense. This year, however, no, I'm not going to say I'm confident the Empire are going to be better because I have no idea. But statistically, the Empire are your 19th out of 28 teams ranked. Mm-hmm. So we're approaching the middle of the pack.
And I think they should be higher. I'll go right on. Debate time.
Discussion? Argument? Disagreement with the power rankings?
That's not really what I'm here for. I'm sorry.
Come on, guys.
I'll be quiet.
Okay, no. Tell me why you disagree. Why should the Empire be higher?
Well, they've got this player He's a pretty good goaltender.
Oh, they got Tuukka.
He goes by the name of Tuukka Rask.
Tuukka Rask.
And if you'll recall, he's been moved around a couple of times.
Who would let go of Tuukka Rask?
He was picked up, if I'm remembering the story right, for nothing, essentially. He was traded for prior to the waiver draft 1 year.
Yeah.
For, like, odds and ends.
Right.
I forget who gave him up. But anyway, yeah. Huge controversy with that.
Okay.
And now he's an 82 overall and one of the top 5 goalies in the league.
He's going to be...
Called it right here.
He's going to be 85 plus next year.
Oh,
absolutely.
He's good. He's a good goalie. And he's only 25 years old. He's on a wicked contract for another couple of years at 1.8.
Oh, he's at 1.8.
Yeah, I can't. We want it.
Yeah, there's reason number one.
Yeah.
I think the Empire's going to be good, Matt.
This is a team that is good today, and I think probably a little bit better than the pure raw stats that Henry's compiled indicate. And furthermore, this is a team with some phenomenal long-term assets.
Yeah, especially on defense.
Just skimming through really, really quickly here. I mean, they have Zibanejad. They took Brandon Saad late in the first round a few years ago. They have Nino Niederreiter, who I think will absolutely turn around. Louis LeBlanc, I don't think gets necessarily. I think he's going to be better than he has looked in the past.
Yeah.
Nicholas Jensen, the Canucks prospect, is
who I traded away.
Guy. courtesy of Eric.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. On defense, Justin Schultz, Adam Larson, who I still think Adam Larson
I'm a big fan of Larson.
I still think that guy is going to be a legitimate number one defense.
Always got the tools for it. And you know what? He's got that McKinnon kid.
I hear he's not bad.
You look at
the Empire.
He looked like a skinny, scared third liner the other night when we saw the game. But
he's only 18, isn't he?
He's
just a wee lad.
He's 18, yeah, but that's a good.
And frankly, he's skinny and playing on third line, so I guess that's
so the Empire's building.
Pretty honest assessment.
Yeah. So the Empire's building their team around. They got guys like Nathan McKinnon and Tuukka Rask, and that was a very solid foundation.
But at the same time, they've also got those kind of complementary pieces like Justin Schultz and Travis Hamonic. And
does he have Smeed?
He
doesn't have Smeed. Oh, he's Justin Falk. I thought I saw Smeed. By the way, if somebody
solid young guys
basically I want to see Smeed and Krug on the same line. It sounds it would be a great cop show. Hey, Smeed, Krug,
I'm thinking it's more like the name for a German confectionery or something.
I need a bowl of Schwinkelkrug.
Let's go real fast.
I'm sorry, I like Smeed and Krug. Smooth sounds like Smeed.
Travis Zajac, Jeff Carter, Danny Heatley is really underrated, I think, as far as
Jeff Carter. Is that an 88 scoring ranking? I spied.
It's pretty high.
That's really high.
Scoring, other than him, though, scoring
he's got like the defensive.
That's the thing. He's very defensive.
Scoring is a little light.
Yeah. Heatley and Nisonov have pretty good ratings, and obviously Carter. But beyond that, no real scorers on the front line.
Okay.
So goals might be a little hard to come by, but we'll see. He's got some solid puck possession there, really good passing, so might make up for it.
And whatever doesn't work out this season, I mean, in addition to all the guys we listed, I mean, he had 2 other first-round picks this year, in Mantha and Zadorov, and there's simply a lot of assets here.
Yeah, team on the rise.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things that are going to work out for that team, I think.
And again, World Conference. You never know. Yeah.
So nice job there, Gary.
Yeah. Good job, Gary.
Well built.
I think this year you will make more sense. Though it is kind of fun when a team doesn't make any sense because then I get to write about it. If all teams do exactly what they're supposed to do, I don't have as much fun doing the power rankings. So if you want to suck from week to week, it might help me out. Just saying. Who be number 18? 'Tis the Aces.
Which surprises me.
Yeah, it surprises me. It surprises me too. Again, the middle of the pack actually is really hard to rank from week to week, and it was hard to rank with the preseason rankings. Honestly, like the overall rankings, I do sort of a scoring system, is so close from teams like 19 to 10. They really could be interchangeable. I mean, some of them are so close they might as well be tied. The Las Vegas Aces.
I mean, it's just it's a murderer's row, frankly.
That's an offensive lineup. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, look at that platoon.
Bobrovsky! You got Bobrovsky!
And Luongo. Like, that is
outrageous.
That is a dirty.
I know why the Aces were kind of screwed up. When I did the goalie rankings, I did a weighted average of the number one goalie being 55%, the backup being 35%, and then the third string goalie would have 10%.
So they got a 0.
But they don't have a third goalie yet. But it's a good problem to have because their goalies are 82 and 76. So goaltending depth easily one of the most important factors in determining a winning team, I would say.
I agree.
We saw some slight signs of that last season, I think. That said, I mean, this is a team that's going to grossly outperform their initial statistical based ranking. It's not even going to be close. I mean,
crazy offense
and
even on defense.
Oh, look at PK's stats.
Well, I mean, look at every single one of their defensemen is offensively minded. Like Subban, Arab, Goliaski,
so their power play is
their top four.
Their power play is going to be out of this world.
Yeah. So they're relying entirely on their goaltenders to keep the pucks out of the net.
And you could do worse with having their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think it will work too.
Their ninth rated forward is David Perron.
Yeah.
Their third line is what? Perron, Landeskog, and Oshie?
That's what it looks like.
And
some very good defensive forwards. That's the funny thing. Saku Koivu will be wicked for them. Mikko Koivu, obviously, very defensively minded.
Taves face-off is 9. Look at their top two centers with face-off. Mikko Koivu and Jonathan Taves have a 96, and look at their top four. I can't get over face-off ratings. Look at their top four face-off ratings: 99, 96, 92, 87. So their power play is going to be absolutely lethal.
Yeah.
So teams playing the Aces, you may want to hold off on that physicality, do you think, when you're playing against them?
Maybe. Something
so you don't take as many penalties?
Yeah, I think teams are going to have a lot of problems regardless of what they're doing with the sliders.
Right.
Eric had mentioned this earlier that sometimes older players get a little bit of a bump when it comes to the overall rating. This team, with some of their depth, they have so many star super young guys. I actually think this team is better than their OV rating indicates, particularly when it comes to upfront.
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah, this I remember I traded the Aces Henrik Sedin, and I think it was a pretty good trade. I think I traded Henrik for Mike Smith straight up or something like that. And but I mean it works out because I mean their center depth best in the league.
Has to be.
It has to be. They're four starting centers. They're Taves, Mikko Koivu, Henrik Sedin, and they got the Koivu brothers and Saku. So yeah, that's gonna put a dent in the World Conference, I would say.
Sid Getzlaf Grabowski would have something to say about that.
Okay, we'll get to the Norsemen soon. Don't worry.
But it's going to make one little point just to bring us back down to earth on the Aces here.
Yep.
That team came at a cost, and that is that there is no farm to speak of.
Their farm and their prospects.
To put it lightly,
I see a lot of round lates.
Are all in their mid to late 20s.
Right.
And that's like none of them are NHLers, frankly.
Okay. So this is a team that's built
for really solid young guys.
That's built for
Landeskog's and Priarvis and Galchenyuks and whatnot, but those guys were already ranked.
Well, was Eric, you work in finance. You're an esteemed banker, in fact.
I am. It's true.
Which, by the way, is fucking. Michael, sorry. Bleep that out.
I smell a question coming here.
So there's a question.
Which is funny, by the way.
So, Eric, if you can see over my tablet here.
Yes.
I'll put it in here. There's a red, some red ink.
I know what that means.
Does that mean good?
Red.
Yeah.
Red is a bad number.
Oh.
Yeah.
It needs a bad color.
Bad color. Right. But when it's on a number, it's a bad color.
Right. I see.
So if you see red numbers on a page,
right,
that means you don't have money. And there's a lot of red numbers on the Las Vegas Aces.
Are they the worst in terms of financial shape? Are they the worst team in the league?
I haven't noticed a team that's $20 million in debt.
Because here's the thing that's wonderful: it's Las Vegas.
It is pretty awesome.
And it's just like
it is thematic.
It's so perfect. It's just like, anytime you hear about a professional team wanting to go to Las Vegas, I love Las Vegas. Don't do it. Like if you think athletes have a hard time not getting in trouble in like regular cities, imagine having like an arena like next to the Strip, and you have young people with money. We're young people. Well, not so much. We're getting close to our 30s now. Someone's already 30. We have very little money, and we make poor financial decisions in Vegas. Take a kid who's 19, making like $4 million a year, put him in Vegas, and just watch the fireworks happen.
I mean, Patrick Kane can't get through a cab ride without making that decision.
And he lives in Chicago.
And he lives in Chicago.
Well, actually, doesn't he live in Buffalo, or is he from Buffalo? I don't know.
Anyway,
don't do it. So I think that is, like you mentioned, thematically correct to be in poor financial shape.
And look at that. They're also missing 2 of their next 3 first rounders.
Okay.
So Dustin, with his Las Vegas Aces, is all in.
Good one! Good one! Oh,
yeah, the only one with these
puns are coming in spades.
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
No, your turn now.
That was good.
Say something funny about Las Vegas.
I am so turned on right now.
I can feel it.
You need don't need out of the house.
All right, let's roll the dice and move on.
Yes, indeed. Oh my God. Okay, this is getting too much.
Number 17 on our list. That's your old man.
Oh boy!
It's the Stockholm Cougars.
I'm just gonna sit back and
Tom,
listen to the vitriol.
Before I mention, before we get to Matt about his analysis about his dad's team, Matt recently got married about 3 weeks ago now. Yep, congratulations. Got to hang out with Tom for like the first time we've met before. Cool. Awesome guy, really fun hanging out with him. There was a really funny story about Matt's sister's boyfriend missing the ferry because he was so hungover. It was just a great time. We've got a great picture of me, Matt, and or myself, Matt, and his dad. So Tom, it was really fun hanging out with you. And what do you think about this team? No nepotism here. Be blunt. Be blunt. Be Emily Blunt. No, it's
so weird. What do you think? I think that there's some work to be done here.
Yeah.
I think they're floating a little bit in no man's land where they're not awful, but they're probably not good enough to be competitive.
Okay.
I think that they probably have an okay shot of creeping into the lower depths of the playoffs. But they're in a tricky spot.
They're very doable in the right conference.
They're in no man's land, and unfortunately, a couple of the guys who have really wagered a lot of their future on haven't necessarily panned out as much as they'd hope.
Okay.
Are you thinking of Tarasenko here, or?
We'll get there. I mean, Derek Brassard is not quite performing to what we'd hope.
When I looked at
okay though.
When I looked at this team, it was one of the few times where I said if this was a real life NHL team, they would actually be very good. But in SICHL, the rankings just don't quite work out. So they've got
28 teams. Just those missing 2 teams boost the depth availability so much.
Absolutely, unquestionably. And the fact that he's got like Hartnell and Skinner and Clutterbuck, who like in real life, I think Skinner and Hartnell are having a bit down years, but like in their good years, that would be a very effective group of forwards, and they're lower ranked. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for the Cougars.
And they did pick up Alex Barkov in the draft this year.
Yeah, very good. Wasn't that his first round pick in a while? Didn't he mention that like he hadn't had a first round pick in a few years?
I don't know, but it might be his first decent pick in a while.
Oh, and he did skunk me on Hunter Shinkaruk of the Minnesota Tigers.
Oh,
but isn't he a Canucks prospect?
He is a Canucks prospect, which is why he wanted him, as I understand it. Very highly touted. Yeah. At the same time, watching him play this year, I'm feeling like I dodged a bullet. Shots fired!
Shots fired. Okay, well, anything else to say about the Cougars before we move on?
Yes. They're frigging Antoine Vermette already.
Man, talk about a useful forward. What's his salary right now?
He's 1.49.
One of the most cost-effective forwards in the game. He's got a 96.
So it's a 1-year contract.
98 face-off rating.
Great defense, good scoring, good checking. He does it all. He's total jack of all trades and amazing at face-off.
You know what contract sucks though? Brendan Morrow at 4.
That hurts a little bit. It's not,
but again, like experience leadership. You never know. If he squeaks into the playoffs, Brodeur can go beast mode.
And let's talk about that Brodeur signing there.
Okay.
Now, I'm of the opinion, obviously, since we all saw how the Schooners have performed over the last few years prior to their resurgence. I believe in tanking. That's the new NHL. I think it's the new SICHL as well. It's the efficient way to build your team back quickly. You can do it in 3 to 4 years, no problem. Okay. Trying to hang on, I think, only hurts your chances long term. And a goalie as good as Brodeur can have the effect where maybe you make the playoffs, but maybe you finish in that really awkward, like, second to last kind of out of the playoffs thing where you're getting a 10th overall pick.
Ninth is the worst.
It doesn't do anything. Toronto Maple Leafs being the real life example of that. Like, they have no momentum.
Doesn't Brodeur though make an amazing trade piece come the trade deadline, because his experience in leadership is 99. So in the playoffs, his overall rating probably bumps it up to a mid-80s goalie.
I think it's safe to say that Brodeur is going to probably put out some numbers in the playoffs.
He won't finish the year with Stockholm, I don't think.
I think it'll depend entirely on how the season goes. I mean, I think we all have our assumptions on how the year is going to go. I mean,
and I mean, a lot of teams would be envious of a 73 backup, me included. So that's good. I mean, goalie depth again, very important. And Steve Mason will get a very good re-rate from his play in Philly.
Yes, indeed.
Will he have Steve Mason for a while?
He will. 3 years at 2.5.
Yeah,
solid
very
signing.
Good contract. Yeah.
He tried to sign him for less, but I made sure that didn't happen.
I felt so dirty with the RFA stuff. You know what I feel dirty? I don't know the rules still because I'm like, hey Mark, what did I do with this RFA? And Mark's like, do you read the rules? And I'm like, it's my 11th season. Give me a break. I screwed up in a couple of my RFAs, but I saw a couple of your guys, and I'm like, I can't do that.
I didn't bid on any of yours. I bid on one of yours.
People don't need
Things might get awkward later.
You guys, I'm going to tell the league right now, you don't need to screw me over. I will screw me over somehow. Don't worry. You don't need to worry about me. That last season was an aberration. So, let's continue.
Right
Tom, good luck this year.
One of my favorite teams, Doug, Brandon Wheat Kings.
I like Brandon.
Coming in at 16.
I like Brandon
because they're orthodox.
Yes, they are. Tell the SICHL. Tell the GMs, the 26 people that might watch this video. Tell them why Brandon is an oddity.
So this is Brandon's strategy. I'm going to build my team through free agency, sign expensive players, trade all my draft picks.
This sounds like me.
And then win and get in the playoffs. That's apparently the formula for success because it seems to work. They're competitive pretty much every year, and they've taken exactly 9 draft picks in the last 9 seasons.
Now hang on, now I'm no mathematician, but that averages out to 1 draft pick a year.
Good math there, buddy.
Well, I did go to Mount Allison University, the number 1 ranked university in Canada. It was so funny doing the power rankings for Brandon last year because they were the New York Empire on the Canadian side. It made no sense why they weren't really good. And it was funny because every time I did the power rankings, by the way, guys, I urge and plead you to please leave comments after my power rankings. It gives me a lot of encouragement, and I like to know that people read it, even if it's nothing, even if it's just like cool read or I hate you or die in a fire. Especially die in a fire. Thank you for leaving all the comments. It makes me feel really good about myself after spending 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday. Anyway, so the reason I mentioned that is because whenever I did the power rankings last year, he'd be like, I know my team doesn't make any sense. I know. I've tried everything. I don't know why I can't score. I don't know why I'm not good. And it was just really, I don't know. I just found it really funny that
so good.
Yeah, his team of such star-studded lineup. I mean, now how are they this year? Let's forget about last year. How are they open this year?
Solid as ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this is prototypical Wheat Kings. They're just solid throughout the lineup.
They are.
Depth is their hallmark.
Talk about forward depth. Holy cow!
They don't necessarily have like a rock star first line, but they'll run 3 or 4 even scoring lines.
So they've got 6 players with a scoring rating of 70 and up, and not many teams can lay claim to that. A lot of good defensive forwards
and a lot of good defensemen. Yeah, better than they look, frankly. Like you're not going to be blown away by the names or the overall rankings, but solid defensively, some good passers as well, and
they may have a little bit of problem with shutting teams down with their D-men, but it's not awful.
It's not bad.
They just don't quite have like 1 or 2 pure stoppers. But I mean, this is going to be a team that's going to make the playoffs. I think
should put up some points.
Is Klitzen a funny name?
I think I just answered your question, everybody.
You need to ask that question.
Sorry, Mike.
No, I feel bad for Doug about a couple contracts there.
Explain.
Namely, one Roman Hammerlick, currently signed to a 2-year, $3.7 million contract.
Okay.
And Carlo Jacobo, 2-year, $2.75. Grant Klitzen, $2.6. Brandon Allen, $2.5.
Yeah. What's Mike Green's contract at?
Mike Green he's $5 million, 4 years.
That's not bad.
Also, I have no problem with Brian Allen at 2.25.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
for 2 years, I mean, he's going to be a 5th, 6th defenseman.
Sure.
Is this
Laurie? This takes a cake. Laurie Korpikoski, 3 years, 4.25.
I remember
that Olli Jokinen, 2 years, 6.3. Like
you were on the Jokinen train for as long as I can remember. I remember Eric was talking about Jokinen and Pitkinen.
Yes.
Till he turned blue.
And I'm sorry. What's Pitkinen ranked this year? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Whatever it is, I'm sure it's
4 or something like that.
What? Whatever it is, it's too high.
It's very high.
It's too high. It's too high.
Will Brandon 77?
Well, yeah.
Getting that later.
Will Brandon make the playoffs in the hyper-competitive Canadian Conference this year?
I'm going to go with yes.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah, they're going to squeeze in. Matt, what do you think?
Because they always do.
Draft picks.
So I think one of the challenges we talked about Brandon's
only 70.
the methodology, which has worked, and I think we'll continue to do so.
Yeah.
My wife just came home.
Hello!
With a stool. This is not good for me. She's actually lugging a stool. Anyhow.
Get up and help her, man. Unbelievable.
Doing
But one of the challenges I think they're going to have is they don't have a lot of resources in the 2014 draft to bolster any playoff run. So whereas in the past they might have held on to some of those picks perhaps a little bit longer and then dealt them to make sure that they got over and above what they needed.
They've already burned those assets.
They've burned that asset. They've also burned both their first and second round picks in 2015 and their first round picks in both 2016 and 2017. We're now getting to the point where most of us are entering middle age and we're telling them next time they're going to have a first round pick.
Now, to be fair, that's sort of been their strategy forever. So I guess there's something to be said about consistency. But can this team be good for the next couple years without draft picks?
I think that they're going to be fine this year. They're going to be fine next year. But I think that at some point they're going to run into a challenge where they're running out of assets to move, unless they're able to be particularly savvy when it comes to the trading component of the game.
Which I wouldn't put past.
He's been successful for as long as he has been. So I mean, maybe that's a short-sighted view.
Okay.
How do you feel about the new stool?
Oh, I like it. Now, I thought it was going to be a halfback. Is that a halfback?
No, this appears to be a full-back stool.
Well, it's not.
With a cushion on top.
But hang on, I would describe that as a halfback chair, but not necessarily, but a full-back stool. I'm not sure.
No.
Brittany, how does it feel? Sit down. No, it's okay. They'll be riveted.
Oh yeah.
This is just as interesting as what we're doing.
This is probably more interesting than what we were doing, frankly.
Brittany, did you base getting the stool that it was the same color as your pants?
I think it was probably the oversized sail tag. That's what it would do for me.
I know. I'm pretty happy with that component.
Looks good. All right. Well, let's move on and
On to the last one of this segment.
I just made it in to the third of the fourth.
There you go.
Our boy from Ottawa, Ontario.
Yeah.
We met this charming, amazingly outgoing, gregarious lad at Mount Allison University. He drove us to about 40 Moncton Wildcats games in his little hatchback at 140 kilometers an hour.
Amazing.
And I never felt unsafe. One of our good buddies from university, miss him like hell, Pat Booth's Ottawa Slammers. At number 15. What do you think about the Slammers, boys?
Loving the rebrand.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Last year I mentioned that the Slammers started out really, really hot, and then they traded some assets, and they started I think they ended up not making the playoffs in the Canadian Conference. Can you blame them? His defense is stacked. I mean, he did get rid of Char, true, but he's got Brian Campbell, Eric Carlson, Sammy Salo, Kevin Shattenkirk, Mark Stahl, and John Erskine as the starting six.
And Jared Cowan as a seventh, so that's pretty dirty.
Yeah, not like outrageous rankings right now, but he's got a ton of defensive depth. A lot of his power play again is going to be really strong.
And most of those guys are pretty young too, or under contract for a while. So.
Yeah, Shattenkirk was such a good pickup.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think about the Slammers? They can make playoffs? Yeah. Not that that's the be-all, end-all of the rankings, but we're starting to get to the mid-tier, so you got to think, they're not going to tank, but they want to be competitive enough to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that this is a playoff team. I think there's some examples here about how the OV rankings are just insanity.
They're skewed.
The fact that Brian Campbell is listed as being a better player than Eric Carlson. Yes, I know Carlson missed most of last season, but Eric Carlson could have played half a shift last season, was still probably one of the top 10 defensemen in the NHL.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And not just a bit better than Carlson, but significantly so.
Yeah, well, and the fact that stalwarts such as Sammy Salo are rated equivalent.
What Salos do you?
It's surprisingly high because it's only built on the last season, right? So it's 99. He had a full season.
Sammy Salo has a 90
couple.
If only in real life. Canucks fans used to make jokes that a stiff ocean breeze would injure.
And did. That's why he had to move off the coast.
It was on a different coast, a warmer, friendlier coast.
Yeah.
I like what Pat has done with his team. Like I said, just stacked defensively. Who did they have in goal?
Jonas.
Pretty good guy.
Jonas?
They got the Jonas Hiller.
Jonas Hiller? Okay, so he's got some...
But that's it. He has no backup to speak of.
Well...
He's got a guy called Scott Darling.
Yeah.
And another guy named Scott Monroe.
Yeah, Scott Monroe.
Mm-hmm. So there's still guys named Scott.
Yeah. Is he going to lose Hiller next year to free agency, or he'll be 30?
The age is dropping to 30 next year, so yes, he will be. So he could franchise him.
Okay, yeah.
Does he have any other expiring note? Probably not going to make Erskine his franchise player. So that's probably going to be it. Yeah.
Yeah, he may have a little hard time scoring. I mean, he's got some forwards that can do well.
Marlowe cannot be counted out.
No.
At $11.7 million over 3 years.
Slam that one home.
That is a serious
big contract. That's a big one.
Some cash money.
And Mr. Burrow's making $5.
That's also
a lot of cash money.
But that's Burrow's kind of got unfairly rated. I would say in real life he might be worth a little bit less than that.
Milan College, 5.5.
Yeah, he's having an awful year too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And there's a lot of just let's be honest here. Some expensive players. Guys on the third and fourth line making 2.5, 2.7.
Oh God, I'm scared to move on to my team next.
It's going to be a big year.
Skip my team before we wrap up, Pat. And Pat's team, the Slammers, I think, solid base, all of the good things. However, nobody can cheer for this team. They have Brett Marchand.
Fair point. No, fair point. Yeah, I mean, he may get some sympathy after being James Nealed.
I like that one.
That's pretty good, right?
I like that.
Yeah, you're back on top on the scoreboard, guy.
Brad Marchand doesn't really help your team's image.
I'm happy that we were all able to, or that Don, I think, is responsible for pumping him up to $3.5 million over 4 years.
You know, again,
that's going to hurt next season.
This is a team.
He's having a bad year.
This is a team that would be outrageously good in the real NHL, but SICHL maybe not quite a dominant force, but certainly predicted to finish 6th to 8th in the Canadian Conference.
And they're going to generate some offense from the blue line.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well that is the end of this segment. I just made it into the third block, so stick around. We're going to start off with my favorite team, being totally unbiased. Even if I wasn't the GM of the Hamburg Gladiators, I would still like this team.
Stay tuned for an insulting segment.